4, well supported by the Irish. In trap 1 was Superior Model, had drifted a little bit out to 5-1. In 6 was Backdeed Man at 6-1. In 5, All Wit at 8-1. And in trap 2, Great Alley at 14-1. Lacca Champion, trained by the late Pat Mullins, had come through all the rounds previously unbeaten. So here he was in the final with the big question mark hanging over his head. No one had ever gone into the final unbeaten before and come out of it with the title. Could Lacca Champion do it? But in the 78 final, he needed a great break again, because Glenroe Hiker was in there, and so also Backdeed Man. And both of them could shift into that first bend. The break, of course, was going to play an important part. In goes Great Alley in 3, Lacca Champion, being put in there by Pat Mullins' wife, Linda. In 4 was Glenroe Hiker, strongly fancied by the Irish, because he could do a bit. He could really shift. In 5 was All Wit, a dog that came into the final, you know, with a fair reputation and was in there on merit. And then in 6, Backdeed Man. The question marks, of course, about the race was, how would Lacca Champion break? What would Glenroe Hiker do? And how would Backdeed Man fare against the others in the outside trap? He had everything going from Backdeed Man. The hare was on its way. The Derby Roar was just the same as in previous years, maybe a little bit bigger this time in 1978. Lacca Champion, the unbeaten dog to reach the final. Could he remain unbeaten and take away that Spillers Derby? Here comes the hare around to that traps. Let's see what happens, how the break goes. And here again, you can see it's Backdeed Man, got a flyer of a start, followed by Glenroe Hiker. Now they're going into the first bend, and it is Glenroe Hiker who leads, followed by Lacca Champion and Backdeed Man. But Lacca Champion got such a run going into the second bend that he came out leading at the third bend. As you can see, Lacca Champion right down the back straight, picked it up, ran away from the others. Lacca Champion holding on. Backdeed Man is the one that's coming to challenge now. But Pat Mullins' dog is home and dried before the others realised what happened. It all happened, as you will see in slow motion, between the first and the second bend. Glenroe Hiker went into that first bend ahead of everything else, with Backdeed Man upside him. As you can see, Superior Model got a good break on the inside, and it was the outside one, Backdeed Man, who had got the lead. He had got the lead from Glenroe Hiker by about a half a length, with Lacca Champion in the middle. They go into the first bend. Superior Model is still in there. As you can see, the two dog has dropped out, so there's a big gap. Now it's Glenroe Hiker gets into that first bend, followed by Backdeed Man on the outside and Lacca Champion. But here, Glenroe Hiker stayed out and gave Lacca Champion enough room to get through going into the second bend. And once they come out of the second bend, you can see it's the Pat Mullins dog, Lacca Champion, who now has stretched, taken his lead right on the rails, and he's going to stay there, and he's going to move away from the others. At this stage, Glenroe Hiker gives up the ghost. You will see further down the back straight, Glenroe Hiker has his race run at that stage, because he is really disgusted with everything now, because he sees a dog that was behind him. There was no one in sight going into that first bend, and suddenly something has passed him on the inside. The one that passed him was Lacca Champion. Lacca Champion stays out in front. Glenroe Hiker is plugging on, but he's going to be caught in the inside now again by Backdeed Man. And that's the dog that was drawn in 6, as you can see. He's now running on the rails, Backdeed Man. He now checks and moves out again, trying to come on the outside of Lacca Champion. There's nothing stopping the Sandra Pierce dog here. Lacca Champion, the strong favourite again, runs away from them. Backdeed Man maybe closing the gap down to about 3.5 lengths. But at the finish, it was Lacca Champion from Backdeed Man, with the 5 dog All Wit closing the gap and maybe getting home in front of the 1 dog Superior Model.